So when we were casting the characters, it was David Nutter who said, we have to fly down Jensen, who was up shooting Smallville at the time, so he wasn't really in the pilot pool, and thank God we did, because he walked. Actually, the story, which was funny, is Jensen walked in the room and met with us, and David and Peter Johnson and I, and we talked to him, and we walked out the door, and we looked at each other, and we were so excited, and we were like, we found him, we found Sam.
I didn't get flown down. I cried myself.
Yeah.
So I wanted that to be known.
And so these things just kind of form as puzzle pieces come together. And it wasn't until we met Jared that we were like, well, that's Sam. And we're like, and then Jensen could be Dean, and then it all just kind of it all kind of came together from there.
That's real interesting. Well, how about you guys, Jared and Jensen? Can you tell us?
I'll let Jensen take that.
From your.
You go ahead.
Oh, Jensen, that's totally you. What was
honestly?
What's the exact question?
The question is.
Spelling bee?
Can you
use the word?
Spell leopard.
Use that in a sentence.
Leper?
Leopard.
No. The question was, can you talk about the audition process from your perspective?
Well, it's interesting, actually, for me, hearing it from Eric's perspective. I had obviously been working with Warner Brothers for Gilmore Girls, and the 5 years prior to doing the show, I'd worked on Gilmore Girls and sort of developed a relationship with some of the people at the Warner Brothers offices, and I had kind of heard about a few of the pilots coming out, and I read this one in particular, and I really enjoyed the characters, and it really struck me as something that I remembered hearing sort of a one-sentence breakdown of like, it's kind of Supernatural, it's called Supernatural. And I was thinking like, great, Charmed or Buffy, which are all great shows, but not the show I wanted to be a part of. I didn't want to do Roswell or Charmed or Buffy. And then when I read it, I was like, wow, this is very interesting and so much more than just like a scary show. So
what appealed to you about it?
Well, I grew up son of an English teacher, so she was always big, and she actually taught heroes, myths, and legends, so I was familiar with the mythology and sort of the Joseph Campbell teachings of Joseph Campbell. And
didn't rub off that she was an English teacher.
Didn't rub off, yes. Yeah, it didn't. I just worked till 4:30 this morning in Vancouver, so I'm a little
interesting that you mentioned
worse for
Joseph
wear.
Campbell, because there's a little bit of the reluctant hero.
Very much. I mean, there's so much more than just the reluctant hero. I mean, when you get into the archetypes, there's sort of, each script is just bursting at the seams with archetypes, and last thing I think these people want to hear is me go into an explanation of, I love the script, I love the character. We're doing answered.
I'm awake.
Okay.
So your agent sent you the script, and you were auditioning for Sam all along.
Right. I guess where the process, or how the process, where it wasn't to reach me, was read the script, see if you like the character, see if you like the script. It was sort of like, do you mesh with this? Do you feel that you can mesh with this script? And I felt I could, and so I went in and I met some of the guys, and I re-met Nutter, and sat in an office with, who was it? Kripke, was it?
It was me, Nutter, Peter Johnson. We were at the Wonderland offices, and and he came in. And he had such energy and just so lived the character. Just so was the guy. It's a cliche to say that, but he really was. So it was an easy choice.
And did you feel real good about it coming out?
Well, yeah. It was by no means that short a process. I mean, that was sort of the beginning of a week or 2 week long finding of scripts and characters, and I think the scripts are still being rewritten. I remember I'd seen a script, and they're like, this is changing. Read the script, but it has nothing to do with this. Or
right, yeah.
So much, which is much like it is nowadays. We get a script, and they're like, okay, we're shooting this in a week, but it will be a completely, it's just like, it always can get better, and everybody's always working hard up to the very last second, until they call action. People are working here, people are working in Canada, just, sprinting.
Okay. Jensen, what was your experience?
Pretty much the same.
Well said, Jensen.
Yeah. Well, like Eric said, they had originally brought me in for the role of Sam, and I knew David Nutter very well. I'd worked on testing for a number of pilots before that, so I felt very comfortable with him and with his recommendation of me coming in, and he felt good about it. And I had a conversation with him on the phone before I came in, and just he kind of gave me a spiel about Sam and what he thought, and then I read the script, and I was just like, what about Dean? I like Dean. He's funny. But I studied for Sam, and I went in there, and I actually kind of studied for Dean a little bit too, just in case. And I went in there and I read for Sam, and like Eric said, and they were like, they were pleased with it. And then went home that evening and got a phone call, and they said, well, there's this guy, Jared Pada something.
That's it.
Pada something, yeah. And they really are liking him for one of the brothers, and I'm like, okay. So of course I look him up online, and I'm like,
You thought I was hot.
this guy's smoking hot. I can't play his brother. And no, and then they said, but they'd like to bring you back in for Dean, and I of course was very excited about it, and I came back in and was thrilled. So. That's kind of how it all.
So by the time you guys actually performed together, you had already had the parts. They weren't auditioning.
Well, no, we didn't have it. Did we? Officially.
No, we had
to do
they were the only actors we brought into network, because you have to have a network
formality
audition.
of the
It's
network.
usually a really terrifying process of sort of
Yeah.
these guys and gals that you audition with all year long, and it's 5 people that you're very, very afraid of sitting in the room with you going for the same part. And when we got there, it was like, hey, where's everybody? There is nobody.
Just you and me, pal.
Right.
And
Yeah.
so I started typing numbers down on a page, and
Yeah, well, we went in, and that was the first time we actually met, and then we did the scene together for a room full of executives, and that was that.
Okay.
And we've hated each other ever since.
yeah, I poisoned your waters.
How about everyone else on the panel? Kim, we could start with you and talk about how you became involved with Supernatural.
I read for Sam.
Did everybody read for Sam?
David Nutter, who directed the pilot, is a good friend. He did season 1 of X-Files, and he called and asked if I would do a favor and come in and do 1 episode, because I was kind of semi-retired after X-Files. Very semi-retired. And I came in and did a show called Dead in the Water. Enjoyed myself, fell in love with Jan and Dean, or is it Sam and Dean? And I was driving home to my home in Missouri, and they called me and said, we want you to come on as a part of the team, and I turned around, and here I am. So, and I'm
God.
having a good time.
Yeah, thank God.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what we do without Kim up there. He's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Kim, John?
I know what you do. You get another guy.
No, there is no other guy.
Not true. No other.
There is no other guy named
No.
Kim.
You know, if this whole thing fails, you guys can go right into stand-up.
I don't want to stand up to him. I gotta stand up on apple boxes all the time.
I'm pretty lazy. I'd rather sit.
John, how'd you...
Meanwhile,
Meanwhile.
what he doesn't know, what he didn't know about this whole process is that after we had him direct, I guess that was our 4th episode. We were on the pilot with David Nutter, Wendigo with David Nutter, Hookman with David Jackson, and then Kim came in, and immediately, I think, from day 1, we were on the phone with everybody. We were on the phone with Peter and with Eric and saying, this guy is incredible. Who is this guy? And David Nutter had sort of given him this very sort of mysterious, you'll love Kim kind of sentence at the very beginning, because we were going over this list of 7, very Jedi. Yeah, it was like,
You'll love
who is Kim? Who is this guy? Oh, I knew him from this. Who is Kim Manners? You'll love Kim Manners. And sure enough, we were like, what? And he came on, and he was just incredible. And he was just incredible. And can I borrow?
Yeah.
And
Wow.
and so we basically begged and pleaded to get him.
A job, just a job. That's all I wanted.
He was hungry. He was, he kept trying to bite my arm. I was really worried.
Yeah, I don't want to embarrass Kim, but what was so incredible about him?
About
about him?
Who?
Well, I think that Jared and I we just responded well to him. I mean, he directed in a fashion that we really liked, and you know, it was kind of a set where guys could be guys, and he wasn't someone who directed, you know, behind a screen with a telephone somewhere in L.A. and was like, you know, doing over and over, and then a close up and a close up, and let's get out of here and move on to the next set. He was in there, and you know, a story about another episode that he directed, Bugs. This was a scene where we had to get in to a room with.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's, you know, we get in this tiny little room with 65,000 bees, and the whole camera crew and the sound crew and everybody's got full bee outfits on, and then they're like, "All right, Jared Jensen, hop on in."
And don't swat them because it makes them angry.
And yeah. And I'll give it to Kim. He said, you know what? If you guys don't have bee suits on, I'm not either. And he went in there with shorts and a T-shirt and a monitor, and sat down on a box and directed us from inside the room with bees crawling all over our faces.
Wow.
It's just it's that kind of relationship with Kim.
John, how'd you get involved?
I was going through the annual ritual of staffing season. I had a pilot that didn't go, so I was available and reading all the pilots and taking meetings, and read the script and loved it, and met Eric and loved him.
Aww.
And I know. And
John's my guy.
yeah, isn't that? It's true. There are a lot of, you know, I spent a long time on the X-Files, and I'm offered a lot of scary television shows every year. It's like, will you do this? Will you? And this one just struck me right away, especially when I finally saw the cut of the pilot, because it had those two things that I think you need to have a successful show like this. One is a great franchise, which is the engine that runs the show. The idea that the two brothers on the road trip with a very personal agenda is just great, and you can imagine, I can see instantly 5 years of suffering for these guys in episode after episode. And the second thing, honestly, is casting and chemistry. And chemistry is something you can't manufacture, and these guys have it, and they're so great to write for, and they're so fun to write for.
Worth a try. Worth a try.
Yeah. So I said, yeah, I'm coming on.
Okay. Bob, how about you?
Can I just watch them? They had actually made this pilot, and I saw the pilot and really liked it a lot. And I think what the studio wanted was, after they saw it and it got picked up, and the studio at one point probably said to themselves,
Just keep it. You can't get anything done.
Throw it on there.
this is what it's like to direct them, too. The studio said, well, we can't give $40+ million to Eric Kripke.
Yeah. Very true.
And let him run wild. So they said, what we need is, you know, some... This is so hard.
These people are very tired.